Kurt Busch, who is the driver of the number 41 Haas Automation Monster Energy Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. As you all know, he is the most recent NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver to make the chase following his win earlier this week, which was on a Monday, of course. He likes those Mondays. Pocono Raceway. He has 3 wins, 5 top 5s, and top 10s, 10 top 10s at MIS. This is a great track for him. And as you recall, he is the defending champion of this race from last year. So give us a little bit of a sense of what it takes to win here at MIS. Obviously, you feel good about your win this past weekend, but talk a little bit about how you pivot from that moment to getting ready for this next one and the importance here at Michigan International Speedway for you.
Yeah, the biggest thing at Michigan is respecting the speed. This is a very fast racetrack, and the way that this weekend's rules are shaping up with lesser downforce, it's definitely a weekend where there's the question mark heading into it, and so we're going to make sure on the 41 car that we make sure to just stay focused on our plan and not try to let the excitement of winning here last year and winning last week's race jade the effort, because every week is a new challenge, and this week is a little bit different because it is the 2017 rules package, and we want to make sure that we stay on top of it and get the best effort that we possibly can. And so it's great to have Tony Gibson back and Johnny Klossmeyer in his role as the lead engineer. But to make a comment on last week's win and not having our main crew chief, it just shows the depth, and it shows the amount of quality effort that Stewart Haas Racing is putting forth in building cars, but also in building people. And that's what I was very proud of last week, to be able to win with an interim crew chief.
Congratulations again. Questions for Mr. Busch, please raise your hand. We'll start with David Scott here in the middle. We'll go to Reed Spencer, and then we'll go to Mr. Bob Pockras. David?
David Scott from the Charlotte Observer. Kurt, what are you anticipating from the aero package this weekend?
What I'm anticipating is hopefully a lot of slipping and sliding, loss of momentum, and the ability to stack up some guys and to get a big run from 3rd, 4th, 5th on back. That's what we hope we see, and that we don't have a leader that just gets out there and then we're not able to chase him down. And then the restarts are going to be that much more exciting because of the lack of downforce, and how stable will the cars be side by side. Nobody knows that yet.
Reed?
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Kurt, whether coincidence or not, you've had good success winning rain-delayed races. I recall you're winning here on a Tuesday. Is that just simply coincidence, or is there a mindset that you've got to develop to race the next day and keep it together and that sort of thing?
There are quite a few rain delay wins that I have, and with all the different teams I've been with Roush and Penske and Stewart Haas. I don't know. I was watching Rain Man about a couple months ago, and I should have practiced up on some of my quotes. But I'm glad that Dad lets me drive on Sundays. Yes, Dad lets me drive Sundays. So the rain is definitely something you have to be patient with. It's something you can't predict. We do have a lot stronger tools and radar and everything else. But whenever the green flag drops, no matter if it's a quick rain delay. And one of the biggest things we have now that we didn't have in years past is the Air Titans. And so they can quickly get a track in race conditions. And so you have to be ready at all moments whenever they're going to drop the green, and try to stay as level-headed and as focused as possible whenever we get to go, because you can't challenge Mother Nature. But it feels good to be able to be ready, to be prepared, and to have a team behind you to go out there and perform at any moment.
All right, we'll shift over to Mr. Pockras in the middle.
Bob Pockras, ESPN. Both you and Martin kind of got a win the week before the race that would have been your 1-year anniversary since your previous win. So I'm kind of curious, would it have mattered if you came in here this week with it being 1 year without a win? Does that mess with the driver's psyche? And then also, can you talk about having to kind of overcome frustrations of, Chicago last year, Bristol this year, Vegas this year, just races where maybe you felt like you definitely were in contention to win but didn't?
It's great to have the win, but we want more wins. I mean, Gene Haas is a great owner to race for. He said congratulations, and in his normal sarcastic Gene Haas tone, he says, I want more. Where are more? Why do we only have one? But you have to stay patient. And if we didn't win, to answer your question last week, we've had such a strong season with consistency that there's no reason to panic or to stress any type of part of the team because we hadn't won. Honestly, we were second in points, and we had a 3-race cushion on 16th in points. And so that was a cushion that I was trying to tell the guys is important because if we have any kind of mechanical failure, we're not in any kind of jeopardy of not advancing to the chase. But we just need to continue to push and to do the smart things. And I'm glad that we won because there's a few new crew members on the 41 car that hadn't tasted victory lane, and they were getting a bit nervous or a bit agitated or maybe just a bit frazzled that they hadn't gotten that win yet. So it's more for the team. It puts the 41 car parallel with the 4 as far as results this year internally. And one thing that's very important to recognize, when I was at the shop on Tuesday, at SHR, we work on weekdays, and we don't normally race on weekdays. And so everybody was huddled up in the cafeteria watching the race on Monday as a unit, as a core group of people rooting for their car out there. And normally people are at home watching on Sundays with their families, and they're not there together as employees watching the race unfold. And that was a special moment to hear everybody say, the break room erupted, the cafeteria erupted with cheers, the guys in the transmission room, we didn't even know they had a laptop back there to watch the race on. They had their own celebration. So it's really neat to see the team enjoy it together on a Monday win.
All right, we'll go over to Lee Spencer, please.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. Talked to Gibson before I knew he was going to be suspended last week. Talked about you and kind of being under the radar, being second in points and not getting, really, I guess, the attention that you might think because it's all been dominated by Toyotas this year. He said one of the reasons he thinks that the 4 and 41 do so well is because the relationship that he has with Rodney. And I'm kind of, he said they're both old school crew chiefs. Well, how have you seen the relationship since you've been there kind of, build between those two and, kind of blossom and made those two teams as a whole stronger?
Yeah, I would agree with Gibson 100%, and that Rodney Childers and Tony Gibson are more of an old school crew chief, and they're very good at assembling the crew members in the specific positions, such as their lead engineers are very strong-minded, very good at simulation, and they know exactly, Klaus Meyer called a perfect race last week. And then you see, Buga has moved on from a lead engineer into a crew chief role for Tony Stewart. It just shows the quality of people that they have working for them. And then there's the old school things that crew chiefs do to help push one another on, hey, I saw this in tech inspection, or hey, did you see the Toyotas do this, or hey, this Ford had that. And they're able to easily communicate that back to the engineering staff on just the visual things that they see. And it's neat, though, to have as many teams as possible pushing each other within the same organization. And that's what makes the Toyotas tough right now is, there's 4 of them that are definitely huddled down in there together. And we want to see Tony Stewart get stronger and Danica get stronger so that we can have our total of 4 strong horses every week. As far as being under the radar, it just is the way it happens. It's something that I don't necessarily focus on. I know that we've had nice internal victories each and every week with certain things, and it might not be the glorified big moment win, but we now have that, and there's no ignoring the fact that the 41 car has been a very consistent car this year.
Over here to Mike.
Hey, Kurt, I know you follow Formula One. Gene's efforts this season, and is there any sharing of info and stuff with your team?
Yeah, I'm excited. And next week, we have an off week from our NASCAR circuit, and I'm headed over to the Middle East to watch our Formula One team at Baku. And I can't wait to hang out with Grosjean and Gutierrez and have, the opportunity to sit next to a Formula One driver and see his tools that he uses, whether it's simulation, whether it's mapping. I'm hoping that I can discover things that I'll be able to ask Gene, hey, Gene, why don't we have that? You know, let's bring that back over to North Carolina side and use it for the Sprint Cup teams. And so, you know, it's just an exciting time for Gene all the way around with the success that he had early on in F1. But now to settle in as the season's been going on and for us to deliver a win, it's really a neat time with Gene Haas. He's having a lot of fun in motorsports, and he's pushing harder and harder and harder. And I hope that there's something that I can bring back and cross-pollinate with our Sprint Cup team from the F1.
You drove an F1 car, correct?
I have not driven a Formula One car, but just an Indy car.
So you think you could have ever made that transition?
I'm sure I'd fit right in the seat, and I'd figure out where the start button is. I just don't know if they'll let me go out there on my own. But with Gene, you never know. And I would love the opportunity to have a test session or a fun day with a Formula One car. Those cars and the engineering and the amount of technology is something so exciting as a driver. You definitely want to get your hands on it.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much for coming in today. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.